What's up, everyone? My name is, whoops, I was about to say Ray Ramundo, but it's Raven Sanchez now, as we are live with the Respect the Craft podcast. I'm joined by none other than future Legends own Frank. How's it going, Frank?
Good, Ray. How you been?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. It's a new year, starting it off really good so far.
Good.
How's it been for you? Happy New Year, by the way.
But thank you. Happy New Year to you. Thank God. So far, so good.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for coming on, Frank. This is also the inaugural episode here. So we're starting off
History
fresh here.
making.
Awesome. Awesome. So I have to start it off. My first question for you, Frank. We got to talk about how did Future Legend begin? How did this whole amazing brand start? Because I'm definitely a big fan of the brand. So
Thank you, Ray. I started the brand. Actually, it wasn't its own brand. I had another brand, the UGC. It used to be an underground clown. It was like a sinister Joker kind of looking clown logo that I used to paint on cars and T-shirts and stuff in my auto body shop. So I started that company for a friend of mine who was murdered, and I do continue to do charity work in his name. But the Future Legend T-shirt was one of the T-shirts that fell under that brand. I just saw more potential to grow that as its own company as continuing with the clown stuff because the Jester logo, I thought that it could only go so far before it had a shelf life and went stale, you know?
gotcha,
So
gotcha.
hence Future Legend was born from that brand, and thank God it's still going strong.
No, definitely is. Definitely is. It's something. Once I saw it, I started seeing, especially a lot of the tri-state guys that are very fond of it as well. And the brand is an amazing thing. What you guys do, the message you spread as well. It's very great. It's something as I'm doing with my brand here with Respect the Craft. It's definitely sharing a lot of the same values and showing that respect for this great thing in professional wrestling as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like for us, we didn't get started per se as a wrestling brand.
Yeah,
We were more as involved in MMA, UFC, and
yeah,
Bellator fights, and the crossover for us was Lashley. Lashley was in Bellator, mixed martial arts, and he seen it, and the crossover occurred when he wore it on Impact Wrestling years ago. So ever since then, it just I can't even count how many wrestlers are there.
I was gonna say it became a domino effect in a sense.
Yeah,
That it's just like one after the other after.
you're right, exactly.
That's a great thing though, and again, it shows how it can transcend like that from sport to sport, and that's how good the brand is as well. And again, I'm gonna be putting you over the whole night here, as I do really do enjoy the brand, so it's great.
Thank you.
So I have to ask, like I said, this is the respect the craft. I can see you also are as you said, you started with MMA. You are a wrestling fan as well. How did you fall into that as well? How did you start watching professional wrestling?
I think a lot of people start when they're kids. You watch it with your parents or your dad or an older sibling, and then I know most people we watch it as kids. Then we discover you know uh, cars and opposite sex dating, this that whatever the case may be, and you kind of like drift away from it. And
Yeah,
then once you're in your 20s or whatever, you gravitate towards back. And then when you have kids, they get into it. So you kind of never, you skip a beat for a little bit, but then you get right back into it. But I started watching when I was a kid. I mean, grow up in the 80s was amazing. You had Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Savage and Roddy Piper and Jimmy Snooker. So it was a different time. And back then, we weren't blessed enough to see uh, like AEW and Impact and Ring of Honor. Back then, we just kind of had WWF that was
yeah.
like televised, I should say. But you know, I mean, wrestling is a little bit of escape from reality for people. You get a little bit of everything, little the hot girls and built guys and fighting, and you know the deal. You're a
Yeah.
wrestling fan, you know.
Definitely, definitely. And no, I think that's what it really does transcend that. It gives that escape and allows people to just fall into the art of it all, the stories, the amazing acrobatics, everything that ties into the craft that is wrestling.
Yeah.
So definitely
It's,
does.
yeah, it's a little bit of a people's escape from reality, especially in today's times. We kind of need that.
Definitely, definitely. So that's awesome. But I do have to ask. So, like you said, you started with Lashley in the professional for that professional wrestling side. But for Future Legend in general, what makes you find someone that fits the Future Legend motto? Be it if in MMA or in wrestling, what makes you think, oh, this person fits Future Legend?
We we tend to look for the people who are up and coming, but we also won't turn down somebody who's committed to their craft and doing good deeds. And we try to look for people that are to represent us that are also good people outside of their craft. Um, you don't want to just put anybody in your brand either. Your
Definitely.
brand is a reflection of who you are as a person and what your company stands for. So we are a little bit selective of people that we do have on sponsorships and stuff like that, just because you don't want to take the wrong person, even though they might make sales, but it's not the right representation of the message behind what my brand stands for. So, you know,
Gotcha.
but like I said, we do look for the younger talents to go out there and represent.
Gotcha. No, and that definitely, like I said, the names of that I've seen, especially in the wrestling side of things, are definitely some that have been amazing people. Like even on the card on Saturday, guys like Josh Woods and Wrecking Ball, awesome people that have also been around in this. Also, another guy that I got to see the other day, TJP, another
Uh,
one that definitely.
yeah,
So
TJ's a good dude. Yeah,
yeah,
good guy.
so that's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
I've been blessed. I mean, I got a lot of friends in the industry who show love all the time, like Moose,
Yeah,
Ed Edwards, Chris Masters. A ton of friends that always show love. Maybe people say, oh, they're a little bit older, they don't really fit what you said, but they're your friends and they want to help put you over, and they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes for you, getting to the younger talent, getting to me if the younger talent can't get to me,
yeah.
to get them here and stuff like that. But I've been super blessed and fortunate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, like I said, me, I've gotten to see it through guys like that, but also the younger guys as well. They're starting to share it. And like Casey Guevara, perfect example. He's my age, and he's also been a big part of now with Future Legend.
Yeah, Casey, Steve Gibke, who Casey introduced me to. And then there was a young kid about 5 years ago. Everybody knows his name now, but 5 years ago, nobody knew Austin Theory,
Yeah,
you know? So, and then you have the younger kids now coming up, like in Atlanta, Georgia, the Hunter Jameses, who in the next 2 or 3 years, I can't see him not being in AEW or NXT or Impact. You have those young up and comers that are out there, and gosh, there's tons of talent out there. And the good thing now is the indies are full of talent with the releases from WWE bolstering indie shows. So it's a good time to be a wrestling fan and to come to the shows. So much
definitely.
time.
Definitely. I was about to ask you that, and it seems you already answered my question. Are you keeping your eye on the independent circuit? But you
Oh
just
yeah,
answered my question because that's a good thing though. It's again keeping your eye on all markets. Because again, the indies are booming everywhere in a sense. This has been
yeah.
a great year for indies to finally come back. Sadly, with the pandemic, it did take a little bit of a hiatus, but it is starting to boom back up and it's on fire again, which I love to see.
Well, the good thing, well, not for the people who are released by WWE, but is a
Yes.
good thing for the fans of indie wrestling that get to
Yeah,
see the Buddy Murphys and the bigger names, and Alistair Blacks, well, Malachi's now, who are doing indie shows. Like I just think they did House of Glory with TJP, and you have a lot of talent out there that a lot of people wouldn't normally get to see live if it wasn't for the fact that so it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
definitely is. And also it gives the opportunity for those matches you possibly didn't think you would get to see. Like
Yeah,
there's
because
a lot of matchups now that can possibly happen with the younger guys that are now coming up and with some of the talent being added back into the mix, it makes the magic.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because you wouldn't see certain things in WWE. They'll run a feud for months. Like you keep on seeing, you know, the Usos fighting the same people every single time. It's great the first one, two, three times, but after the 30th match, it gets a little stale. So when you got talent like Buddy Murphy going and doing House of Glories and doing all these shows and GCWs and all that stuff, and you don't know who's gonna pop up and fight them. You don't know and then also too with AEW letting people wrestle outside of that, it's a great time. Like, I like what House of Glory does. Like I was there, I think it was right before this craziness in the pandemic, and Santana was there from LAX. You just never know who's gonna pop up there.
That's the best thing about the independent circuit. Again, you never know who might show up. You never know who's hanging out with who. That might just be like, hey, the door's open, so just come through. Let's hang out. Like,
yeah,
never really know. Yeah, definitely. I remember that show as well. That Santana, I want to say he came with Homicide, because Homicide was on the card. I remember that we saw each other at that show as well. And that's the best thing about these shows, that you get to run into people that you might not have seen in a while, and it's like you get to just reconnect over some great wrestling.
Yeah,
and that's what the Indies brings, that family feel.
You doing all the Capital shows, Well, now Catalyst, of course.
Catalyst,
yeah.
So, and that we'll be able to see each other Saturday as well. So we're definitely going to talk about that show in a little bit, because you have some big stakes there. We have to talk about just the historic that's happening on Saturday as well. So that's gonna be a fun one. But I also wanted to ask, when with the representation out there, what's been the craziest place you've seen your logo? Because I've seen like guys wear it on the Indies, seen like Bobby Lashley wear it on gear, but where's been like on either like AEW or WWE event that you've seen and say it's a proud moment to see your logo being put out there?
I gotta say, I've had several surreal times, but one of the crazy ones was somebody sent me a still shot of the Hot 97 morning show, and I don't remember the DJ, but on his laptop was a Future Legend sticker.
Oh wow!
And, I believe they were interviewing Kanye West. This was several years ago, but that was pretty surreal. And I remember doing WrestleCon in 2018 in New Orleans. We had Taya Valkyrie and Mackenzie Mitchell, Tessa Blanchard, Flip Gordon, Brian Cage, and Rey Mysterio at our booth. And I asked Bobby if he wanted to do it, Lashley, and he's like, he made some excuse like, I can't make it there and this and that. But the fact of the matter is that he had signed and he was making his debut on Monday Night Raw. So he wanted to kind of surprise me. And I had made it back from New Orleans to Florida at my house, and watching Monday Night Raw, and he walks out and he's wearing his black trunks with our logo on it. So that was a pretty surreal, dope ass moment. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Cool. Yeah,
that has to be, again, that's awesome, and that's amazing to see that and just be like, wait, that's wow. It has to leave you like speechless in a sense, like just
I mean, there's a lot of moments like that, but just those two like always stick out. Like the Hot 97 thing was pretty dope, and then of course the Bobby coming out in 18 on Monday Night Raw right after WrestleMania. That was definitely a big moment.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And again, I feel like those moments, it has to be validating as well to see that the brand is reaching those heights as well.
Yeah, I mean, and there's other things like they actually made a Lashley figure with our logo on it, and now it's starting to pop up more. Like Casey Navarro made a little like Slam Buddy, and guys like in the Indies like Thomas Storm, formerly Tony Storm, but you get confused with the other Tony Storm who was in NXT. But And then Moose has a little slam buddy. It never gets old. You like to see your logo, and you're like, wow, my body of work is finally starting to pay off. Like you're seeing it all over the place. So it's definitely surreal. It's always a good feeling.
Yeah. I was gonna say it just has to keep it like it makes you feel like this is worth it. Continuing this, and you're able to see you made the right choice of continuing the Future Legend brand and keeping that the longevity that it has.
Yeah, I mean it gets tough though, right? Like sometimes you'll sit there and the numbers aren't where you want them. Like every business, like wow, I invested so much time, money, effort, and energy, and the payoff monetarily isn't quite there yet. But then, and everybody has that moment where they're like, should I be doing this? Should I give up? Should I quit? And then the next day, something will pop up, and you're on the right path. Like you shouldn't give up. You should just, forge through it. There's always those little moments in everything you do. But I've had those moments several times with the brand where I'm like, wow, I've invested so much time, effort, energy, and money. It's not netting the result like any other business would if I gave that time to it. But, you know, um, like I said, this brand means a lot more to me than just a brand. If I didn't promise my friend who's no longer here, that's the true motivation behind what keeps me going every day.
That's great to hear. And again, I truly have to apologize for your friend, but I do have to say, and again, like I've said, I truly am a fan of the brand that you've created. But that even more adds to just why it has grown and why it continues to do as well as it does, is because you're doing it not only just to say, "Oh, I have this amazing brand," but also there's that deeper meaning. And I feel like a lot of people can feel with that and agree that that's why it's done as well. It's a deeper, just there's something there that's really making it mean something, and that's amazing to hear.
It's a lot of things too, because Ray, like when you think about wrestlers in MMA, like we got our big start in MMA.
Yeah,
We were huge in Bellator, and I never forget the Bellator days in the earlys, like in 12, 13, 14, coming out the gates. We would meet fighters, go to the venues, and they tell us, "Oh, well, we're sponsored by Tap Out, or we're sponsored by Grudge Match or whoever," and we'd find out who to get to speak to them and how to get in and get them to wear our brand with sponsorships and find out. And then, like I said, it carried over, and we've had so many great moments. We probably had like 4 Bellator champions and on TV every week. Like I said, just to see the body of work and how it grows and how people have embraced the company. It's been an amazing journey. I mean, sometimes in life, it's not about the money you're making, but the impact that you're doing. Like I've been
definitely.
blessed to go to Jay Lethal School, and Ryan, who was known in WWE as Connor from the Ascension, and they got a great coach over there, Coach Mercury, out in St. Pete. Um, they let me come in there and speak to the kids about branding and just give them some words of advice and wisdom about business and in branding themselves. And as like a little token of appreciation, I co-branded a T-shirt, Future Legend and Wrestling Lab for them.
Hmm.
And those things are what makes a difference when you see these kids who are gonna be the next Cena or gonna be the next Usos or the next you know I mean, like Hulk Hogan or whatever, whoever the next icon's going to be. It's just so rewarding for me, anyway. It's not always about the money. It's
Mhm.
about leaving an impact and making a difference on somebody's life, and just to shed wisdom as we get older. Shit that I've learned already and I took lumps on, to give it to people like young guy like yourself, so you don't possibly take that road and take the lump or the L like I've taken before.
No, definitely. And again, I have to, like I've said, I truly respect that. And I feel like that's something a lot of people sadly they lose in this business. Like especially to transcend with wrestling, a lot of people don't carry that with them. Like, hey, maybe I should try to help out those that are coming next so they don't have to face as many of the issues that one faces when they're going up like that. So that's great for you to do that and continue to, and it's awesome to hear. Like it's truly awesome to hear, and I'm glad we're getting to talk about this. And I hope those that are listening as well definitely do look into the brand, get some stuff, guys, because it really is something amazing here. Just to show you guys as well, follow the brand as well there. Future Legend Clothing on Instagram. Website's going to be shown right there as well. FutureLegend.com. Amazing stuff. I love it, guys. It's awesome. So, but like I said, we have to talk about this coming weekend, Saturday, because it's going to be a huge event here as Callis Wrestling is presenting Ewing. You're sponsoring not one, but two historic matches happening on Saturday as the 10 pounds of gold is coming back to Brooklyn as Trevor Murdoch teams with the notorious 187 Homicide against Colby Carino and Wrecking Ball Legursky. We talked about it earlier, getting to talk about like the Hulk Hogan's and stuff. What does that mean to you to get to see a championship like the NWA World Championship come to Brooklyn on Saturday?
Well, the NWA, it's an historic. I mean, NWA. You go back and you think like years back, Ric Flair's and Rock and Roll Express and Bach Winkles and all the people who've been there like prior to us even being born. You know, just it's history. You know, and then to see it come back to Brooklyn. I mean, you know, for me, it's a very dope thing to be given the opportunity to do, sponsored, but just it's amazing to have NWA coming here. Like, I don't want to sound fanboyish, but I grew up listening to Smashing Pumpkins, so I'm a big Billy Corgan fan. I kind of marked out a little bit when I spoke to him on the phone one day about wrestling, but just to see what he's done there, resurrecting that company, it's pretty amazing. And then to see the talent he has there, Thomas Latimer or Bram, as my buddy Chris is there, and then to see like what they're doing. Young Kerry Morton is there. Kerry's wears the brand all the time. His dad Ricky's helped me immensely in the industry, but as is Robert Gibson. But I mean, just to see that and come to Brooklyn, so much history. Like if you're a real wrestling fan, to see the NWA come back to like New York, it's something special. Matt did a great job over at Catalyst doing this and bringing Trevor Murdoch in. It's just, I mean, it's great for the sport itself.
Yeah, definitely is, and I feel like it definitely is going to be a treat as well for the fans because not only is it that historical championship, but also it ties in a feud that, again, if you're a wrestling fan, the Carinos versus Homicide has been forever. Watching the old days of like ROH and watching just what Homicide and Steve Carino have done to each other. Continuing with Colby, it's insane. So it's going to be definitely a great match. But also another match that you've proudly sponsored as well has to be the College Championship match, as Darius Carter is defending against Ring of Honor Pure Champion Josh Woods. The goods, the goods is coming to Catalyst, and man, the promo he cut, it's just like it's insane still to me of how like I saw Josh years ago. I want to say it was 2017, 2018, and to see how he's matured and just become just an amazing talent. It's insane just to see how that transition comes. But that's also going to be an insane match.
It's funny because I was just at the wrestling lab up in St. Pete over the holidays, and they have a little Wall of Fame section set up. And Woods got a picture on the wall because I think he had just moved to Florida or somewhere around where my house is out there recently. But and now it's like, you know, the opportunity came up to work with Matt in this. So I'm like, I got to hop on it. Besides the fact that Josh wears the brand and we have a relationship. So it's great for me. Like I said before, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Definitely is. And also, that was going to be the next question as well. Because we've met through Capital First. How did you begin to look at that company? That's, again, has been a growing independent company now at its boom with this historic event as well happening Saturday.
A good friend of mine who just was working with MLW and he just was working with NXT. I think you know George Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
So George actually was doing a seminar at Capitol invited me to come there, and I watched the matches, and just as a fan, just taking it in. And that night, I actually told Matt from Capital slash Catalyst, I says, "Gosh, watching the talent here tonight, there's two guys in that night that stood out to me. One would be Matt McIntosh. He's an exceptional, talented guy, um, and Jourdain, Paul Jourdain. I says these two guys, like, if they had a bigger platform, I think for sure McIntosh is very underrated. He's a talented dude. So is Jourdain, but they had a lot of talented people at that night. I mean, you know, I think Matt puts on a really well organized show. He's got a good talent base coming in. So when the opportunity came to work with Matt again, I said, let me hop on it.
No, definitely. And now that it's starting to finally click again, I'm like, okay, so this is where I remember that seminar as well because I wanted to sit in because at the time I'd just become a student as well in wrestling. So I was like, I had to listen to hear what Mr. Carroll was saying that night, and we got to speak as well. And from there, I think House of Glory was the next show we saw each other. But again, it's those little moments that you never know what could just spark, you know?
And it's so funny about this particular show because, everything you do in life is a lesson if you're wise enough to learn from it. But everything for me is like, comes to fruition when you put out to the universe what you want. You plant the seeds and it manifests. But there's certain people that are going to be at that show that I tried to reach out to in the past and wasn't successful. Chris Dickinson's going to be there. I know he's injured, so I'd like the opportunity to meet him, speak to him. And then Wrecking Ball, we spoke on the telephone and social media, but never met him in person. Same as Josh, even though he wears the brand and represents. But it's just good to be there and finally be able to walk over them, introduce yourself in person, and have a personal relationship with them, as well as like I said, being able to help a wrestling company bring in some talent that maybe they might not have been able to without the help of a sponsor. So the fans could actually, they're the true winners. They get to see this and enjoy this. And it's the memories for the kids that really make the difference. So.
Awesome. And again, I love how that mentality is. That again, it's creating that deeper impact there. Because again, that night, I can imagine, who knows, it might be the first wrestling show ever for a young fan or for even for an adult that might be coming in. This is their first time of seeing indie wrestling. And that could be the start of something great.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the memories. Money comes and goes, but the memories are forever,
No, definitely is. I feel like that's the biggest thing with all this is keeping those memories. And again, sadly, life is short. Like we do have to enjoy those moments when it happens. Like living for that is the best time.
Yeah, amen to that. You got to make the most of every moment.
Definitely do. So, but I do have to ask again, with the ever-growing brand and with the impacts you've made, what would you say is your end goal for Future Legend?
My end goal has never really changed for us. We've always wanted to be a household name, and not just in the Legend household, in every household, of course. And we want to kind of stay true to ourselves. We don't want to go out there and be commercialized too much. We don't want to be in every single store. We want to be selective. And we want to be able to do what we want to do with t-shirts. Like if we want, like we have a very popular shirt, the hashtag #FFailure. That one t-shirt, it's just a timeless classic. It sells all the time. People love it. And I feel like if I was a corporate company, I probably wouldn't be able to make it through going through channels. But I just want to stay to myself, like true to myself and what I intended to do, and not be commercialized and not be restricted in what I want to do, running my brand. And like I said, as long as I'm making money, being able to give back and make a difference, for me, I've already won. So those are my goals. Continue to give back, be it money to charity, me being able to speak to people, help people, sponsor a venue, help other people. You don't know what you're doing when you're doing a gesture. For you, maybe $50, $100, $200, $500, nothing, but that can impact somebody else's life. So, you just don't know on the other end what you're doing for somebody.
Definitely, definitely. And that's amazing right there. Again, I always like to ask. That's a question I feel like is going to transcend. Like I've switched this brand here with the podcast, but I feel like that question's always going to stick with me just because I love to hear what is it people look to get out of this. Because again, we all have something. If especially if it's in an industry like this, it's to what are you trying to do at the end? And I love to hear when it's an answer like that because it still shows that humility. It shows that like there's a deeper love for all this. It's not just like we said for the money of it all. There's something else there.
If it was about solely profits,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't use quality materials. I would use what all the wrestlers do and buy like, pardon me, but make a shitty, cheap Gildan t-shirt where you buy an extra large today, you wash it once, the ink cracks, and then all of a sudden it's a medium. I would do that. I don't want to do that. I want to make a high quality product, even if I make less money on it. I'm not compromising my integrity when I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you want celebrities to really get behind your company and wear it, you have to make something quality wise because I don't want them to just hold up a t-shirt and just hold it for a picture. I want them to wear it and live the life, the lifestyle itself. And like I said, 5 years ago when nobody knew Austin Theory, now 5 years later, this kid's like, doing segments with Mr. McMahon, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. So, like I said, you never know where your relationships are going to lead you. You don't ever want to compromise yourself to get there, of course. But when you meet the good ones and the ones that give back, that's the reward right there. So.
No, and that's awesome. I feel like that again. That even that has to be insane to see that you were able to find a talent like that, like Austin Theory, now Austin White, being able to say, you know what, I knew he was going to be something, and now he's in a segment with Vince on Raw, going to be in the Royal Rumble in a few weeks. Like it has to be insane to see.
Yeah, I seen the same talent like in the young kid like Hunter James and the Casey Navarros. And like I said, watching Matt McIntosh at that Capitol show years ago. I mean, I know Matt has, I hope the wrestling fans don't get mad, but a lot of them have real jobs outside of wrestling until they make it. But Matt has a real career. But I feel like if wrestling was something he wanted to, he'd be one of those guys. He's a super talented guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I definitely agree, and I feel like that he's one of those that, especially even at Callis, he was a former champ. He definitely showed he could carry a brand, but it also, again, this is sometimes not the end goal for everyone. He had his goals, and if he ever decides to fully do it again, top tier talent right there.
Yeah, I agree. Great, and a great guy outside of the ring too.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, and that's what I love about what we've spoken about as well is being that good guy outside of all this, not just trying to play one on TV in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can see that in a lot of people. That's like, sadly, it's like, oh, it's the gimmick, but it's like that fades after a while. Try to keep that you're actually doing what you say you are.
Well, a lot of people they get caught up in the gimmick because they're so used to being that way that they begin to live it in real life. It kind of get lost in who they really are. But it's kind of hard for certain people to separate what their character is from who they are in their own identity and being comfortable in their own skin. But
definitely. But again, Frank, I don't want to take too much more of your time as, again, you're a busy man. I truly appreciate this. I wanted to talk a little bit about, we posted about this special giveaway. What was it that you had in mind that you would like to do here for the listeners and fans watching?
Well, I mean, you're the star of the show. I'm just honored to be on it. So, I mean, you know who your fan base is. I mean, if people are out there, they want to ask a question, or they want to, or you want to, do something with a question about upcoming matches that we're about to be blessed enough to see on Saturday, by all means, let's do it. Let's make some people happy. Give some T-shirts away.
Awesome, awesome. So I have an idea with that. So I'll post something out, share it around, and hopefully we find a winner for Saturday. We'll get that out there. So I think I have an idea. I had something, but I wanted to make sure I clarify that with you as well on here. So definitely, guys, keep a lookout for that on all the social medias, just so you guys remember where we're at. It's going to be here at Ray_Sanchez21, Ray_Sanchez27. Also, you'll be seeing it tagged with Future Legends. So definitely go follow them as well, because you're not going to want to miss out on all this great stuff. But Frank, before I leave you, I usually end the podcast with that question about the end goal. But I have one more to ask, just because, again, like I said, I truly do believe in what the brand stands for. I am a big fan of it. So I have to ask, as you mentioned, you're very selective. But for me personally, how could I become someone that joins that brand of Future Legends?
Done.
There you have it, guys.
There you go. Done.
I had to ask on air because I was like, why not? There's a podcast I listen to, Chris Van Vliet, that says the biggest thing you could do is just not ask, because the answer is no. But,
yeah.
So well, there you go, guys.
Because Chris actually wears Future Legend every now and again.
I had to bring him up because he was also wearing it while I was listening to his podcast. So that's great. But Frank, thank you again so much for joining me here. Guys, this has been the Respect the Craft podcast, episode number 1. We'll be back very soon. But again, guys, check out Callous Wrestling this Saturday. We'll both be there. Check out an historic event. Like I said, the 10 pounds of gold coming back to Brooklyn. So many great matches, so much great talent. And again, make those memories, guys.
Ray, if I may, in closing, I just want to share something with you and your listeners. We're in the process of making the first ever Future Legend title belt.
Ooh.
And we'll be partnering up with a wrestling company and running a tournament this spring, going into the summertime, for the first ever Future Legend champion. So.
Ooh. There you go, guys. Exclusive right there. Awesome.
First one to know about it.
Awesome. Thank you again, Frank, for that. And thank you again for joining me. Like I said, guys, definitely go check out Future Legend, a brand you'll definitely be seeing me post a lot more about now as a member now. Thank you again, Frank. Thank you very soon. And again, guys, as always, be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, and now respect the craft. See you guys. Peace.
Thank you. Good night, Ray.
Good night.